So this week is a little bit different because I'm on holiday, so I couldn't just go away and leave. So what I've done is we've got a fantastic interview lined up with the one and only Kaffe for you. And then each day we've got different fabulous deals and bargains to be had whilst I'm away. So obviously there's going to be a delayed dispatch on that, but enjoy those goodies, enjoy the interview. The man's a genius. He invited us to his home. I mean, it's just beautiful. So please do watch and enjoy. Click on the Facebook link on our website or on our YouTube channel. That's where to find it. So we've just arrived at Kaffe and Burano Mabley's studio. It's a treasure trove. Goodness knows what we're going to find, but we'll have a good rummage and see what we can find for you. So everywhere you look is a treasure trove, and you could spend hours, days, and not see half of the things around here. It's absolutely exquisite and fun, really fun and beautiful, and everything has a story. So you could just spend days listening to the stories that go with everything that's here. You know, everything has history. It's just beautiful. Well, hello everyone. Well, I'd like to say welcome. It's not my home. We're not. It's actually Cave's home. Hello, yeah. Cave.
Hello.
Thank you
I'll welcome
so
everybody.
much. Yeah.
Welcome to my home. And Natasha is going to be our hostess.
I am so thrilled to be here. Absolutely stunning. If my eyes wander, it's because there is so much to see. And I'm not being rude, it's just that every time I look up, I see something different. It's just beautiful. There are fabrics galore. It's everything you dream of. If you love fabric, this is everything you dream of.
Well, it's very nice being in the house with you, because some people walk into this house and they just give up. They look around and it's chaotic and they can't even begin to be comfortable. But you're enjoying it.
I'm really
you're
loving
looking
it.
And you're seeing things that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Which is the way I am. I mean, I have a very complex Chinese puzzle of a brain. And so to me, all of the bits of China and all the things that are around just make sense to me.
Well, and you see different things, and for me, in my home, and this is it, I know that Brandon told you not to tidy because he's been to my home, right. So he knows that this is absolutely fine with me, and I feel very comfortable. But it's one of those things that I have little areas, and like that's put together, and I look at it from this angle, and that just sits nicely for me, and the rest of the room can be... could have had children in it, let's put it that way. But this little section, it's a pleasing aspect. And that's finding those pleasing aspects. But this is what you do. You find in life pleasing aspects everywhere you go.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's very true, that I can filter out all of the chaos and spot a bouquet of flowers or, a window box or something that makes sense to me, and to me, and that becomes enlarged, and the beauty of that is feeding my imagination for a future design or something, and so I'm away.
It's like you've trained your brain to see the positive in things,
quite.
And that is a really special skill.
Yeah.
Really special. It's like you find in life those people that always see the best in people and those that just love a whinge.
Yeah.
And your brain sees the colour in everything rather than, a dirty wrapper on the floor or something like that. You would have
or a stain on the ceiling or a crack or something. That kind of thing never bothers me. If the room I'm in is housing something beautiful in some corner of that room, I'm fine. I'm going to concentrate on that.
Yeah, I think that's
sure.
That's a great life lesson, actually.
Yeah.
Apart from, let's concentrate on those bits of beauty that we can find.
Yeah.
And I think certainly what is it everyone calls it, these unprecedented times that we're living in at the moment, finding those bits of beauty in your home, in your life, is really important.
Oh, and speaking of that, I've never seen the flowers so beautiful in my life. You know, we have little front gardens. What I love about living in a city is that people, and particularly on the edge of a city, people have little front gardens and they are proud of them, and they have their rose bush or their whatever, azaleas or whatever. And I've been walking around on my hour out looking at flowers, and I've never seen them so full and so gorgeous. There's something about the times that maybe there's no pollution in the air or something. Something has made things 10 times more beautiful. Or maybe it's just that I'm concentrating on it, but wow, I've been getting such a buzz.
Well, this is it, because normally you go quite far afield for your books, which we're going to come to in just 1 minute. And we've had quilts in America, we've had Moroccan quilts, we've had all sorts of wonderful places. Is the next one going to be in the UK?
Yes.
I want to say Norfolk.
It's Suffolk.
Suffolk.
Yeah.
There was a folk in there somewhere.
Yeah. Yes.
Amazing.
That's true. And I'm really looking forward to it, because the Quilts in Burano is very special, because we found this magical little island off of Venice that is a fisherman's kind of island, and it's so full of color, it's so saturated, it was so exactly what turns me on and makes me excited.
But could you live there?
It would be difficult for me to live there, probably, because it's just
Would you be too overwhelmed?
So overwhelming. But in a way, maybe, I don't know, you get used to it, I guess. I mean, that would be the sad thing, if all that incredibly exciting color just became totally ordinary and you couldn't see it anymore. But coming back to England, I found a corner of England that is so richly colorful, but in a very English, delicate way. And it goes with the beautiful light that you get in England, which to me is very special. You know, people complain about it being gray here. To me, when I go out to photograph, I want an overcast day, because I want the light to be even and pick up all the subtleties, because the English coloring is incredibly subtle.
I guess it is, because in the book, and we will get to the book in just a minute, I promise. I think we've kind of delved into it already. But there is one quilt in there that was sort of reminiscent of the succulent gardens that you get in California. And I suddenly thought, on a miserly day in the UK with drizzly weather and a bit of a grey meh kind of a day, do you miss that? Do you miss that warmth?
Not at all.
You don't?
Not at all. Because what I feel is, the color scheme of England, what I think of right away is lavender. Beautiful. Lavenders and silvers.
Yes.
The sort of gray silver plants and lavender flowers and pale pinks and delicacy. And so that, if you put bright California light onto that,
it's just going to wash it out.
Wash it out. The pictures are awful. Shadows are harsh. So you want that soft, pearly light that England produces so beautifully.
So is that why you've stuck here all these years?
I think so. I'm really gotten used to it, and I love it. And when I go out photographing, if the sun comes out, we'll just have to wait until the sun goes in, because I'm not going to shoot in these harsh conditions. You know?
And there's Hollywood that is there because it only gets like a week of rain a year, so they can always shoot. And you're there going, where's the rain? Where's the rain?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Where's that softness? Yeah.
So let's talk about them. We're here primarily because this is your 22nd, not 22nd book.
You'll have to tell me, because I don't keep track of the
Goodness
numbers.
knows how many books you've actually produced, because you've been at it for 35 years now. I mean, your first book came out, what, 1985?
Oh, no.
Glorious
Knitting was 1986.
Oh, was it 1986?
Yeah.
Right, so that's, okay.
So really early.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been going many years.
Wow, okay, so many years.
Yeah.
But in the quilts in...
Yes, the Quilt In series. Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Most people would be thrilled just to have one book.
Yeah.
And you've already got the next one planned. I love
Yes, and I can't wait. You know, I'm so on fire when I go out to do a shoot, and I have my box full of quilts, everything we've made all during the year. We've got this great big cases bulging with these new quilts, and I'm going to find the perfect framing for that quilt, the perfect color location that's going to just show that exquisitely. So I can't wait until we go on our shoot.
So let's talk about the shoot, because it is kind of the dream team now. There was a time when there was a little bit of uncertainty because Steve Lovey, who you used to do all the photography
my
with,
first 4 books.
Absolutely, yeah, and who did your glorious photo shoot. And
that's right.
We'll get on to that later. When he couldn't, then you discovered Debbie Patterson, and you stuck with her.
Absolutely.
I think it's a really wise choice. She's ace. And I really love her work. So when you go on a photo shoot, it's you, Brandon, Debbie, anybody else?
No, that's
just the three.
Usually just the 3 of us.
Just the 3?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So who has to carry the bags?
Brandon does a lot of running and carrying. He's brilliant, but I do a lot of the schlepping too.
Hang on. But let's have a look at Brandon schlepping. Because there's a beautiful one here, and I don't know if this set up, and you're going to have to tell me now. Excuse my notes everywhere. But look, just, casually slung over his shoulder there. Can you get that? Yeah. And how beautiful. And he's actually looking at a quilt that's set up there, but, with just something beautiful slung over his shoulder. And this is my favorite photo in the whole book.
Yeah. That sums up the shoot. Because
that sums up you and Brandon. That's not just the shoot.
Well, usually it goes very well, and then there comes a point where I get to the end of my ideas, and so I have to think on the spot. And if someone starts saying, "Oh, I have an idea, let's do it here," no, I have a very definite place for all of these quilts, and it has to be a certain thing. And so it makes Brandon hysterical, and I'm like looking at him. What are you laughing about? This is serious. But anyway, we get through it.
It's beautiful, and the color. In fact, the patchworking of the photography together. It's such a beautiful book. I never know how to describe your books, because are they coffee table books, and yet they've got a masterclass in the back. They've got all the patterns for all the quilts in there. I mean, it ticks every box. And even the bin men in this place are bright and colourful.
Yes, and isn't that wonderful?
Why don't we have bin men like this?
To be able to have a shot like that, that man in lime green trousers against a turquoise wall. I mean, what's not to love? He was absolutely wonderful, and even his broom, I think, was a nice color. But anyway, these are the details that I love. There's one quilt in the book where we have a broom that's against one of the quilts.
Yes.
And it's just the right color. So it's those kind of things that I love to come away from a shoot, particularly if we're in some foreign country, and you get a quality of the life from those little details.
So did you find Burano first and go, I have to do a book here? Did you know about it? Had you rec'd it?
I heard about it, and somebody said it's one of the most colorful places you'll ever see. And I went there and I looked at it, and my first impression was not good.
Oh, really?
No. I looked at it and I thought, oh, this is phony. This is all made out of plywood and cardboard.
Sort of a bit Disney.
I thought, it's not real. And I walked away with that impression. I thought, it's too much. And then my niece, I have a wonderful niece who's a fabulous painter. And she went there with her painter's eye.
Is this Erin?
And she's, and this is Erin Gaffel. And she speaks Italian. And she looked at that landscape, and she started taking these wonderful photographs, and she showed me her pictures. And I went, oh my God, it really is beautiful. And because suddenly I saw it as a patchwork quilt frame. You know, I could see we could just put a quilt over that little wall, or near that door, or near that window, or on that bridge, and we've got a great shot.
Was it almost too much then? Was it almost overload when you went, like, come on, this can't be?
Well, yeah, when I first went, I just didn't get a sense of I was looking for the old world.
Okay.
And it looked too new to me. But when I went back, I
Oh, you found
realized
some distressed walls.
I found wonderfully distressed walls. Wonderfully distressed walls. And the first house that we saw as we went in was this beautiful blue house.
Let me find it.
Yeah, see if you can find it with the black and white quilt on it. Anyway, that house was so classic, chalky blue with these wonderful curly cues. Yeah, that. Look how beautiful that wonderful door treatment is. And that's the old world meeting this fresh, wonderful palette. I mean, what it is that turned a community into making the most colorful houses you can imagine, and each one a little more colorful than its neighbor. And, magenta next to sky blue, next to bright sunny yellow, next to tangerine orange with pink windowsills and things, all of these wonderful combinations. And of course, it's very Italian. There's something about the Italian nature that understands and loves color.
Yes, it's true.
They're a culture that's not afraid of color.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid a lot of Western cultures are afraid of color now. We all go around in kind of neutral clothes and things.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
And a lot of our environments are neutral. Whereas, when you step out and you have a sky blue house,
The only other place that I've seen myself with houses like this is Cape Town.
Yeah.
With the colourful, but I thought that was a Dutch influence, so maybe I need to go rummage around there a bit.
And African.
Yeah. Because the architecture is that.
Africans love color.
Yeah, they're not afraid, are they?
Yeah.
Not afraid of some colour. And it just, I mean, it's staggeringly beautiful.
Yeah.
And there was, where was it? Well, okay, so I have to ask, this quilt.
Yeah.
Did it fall in? Because that looks quite precarious to me, and I was worried for it.
I'm telling you something. Brandon and the photographer were really worried.
Yeah.
But I could, I had my little tacks that I was.
That was the next question.
That I was anchoring things at corners, so I was not too worried.
It's like on fashion photo shoots, where as long as the model never turns around and you see the bulldog clips pulling everything in together. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's all right. Just I feared for it. I did fear for it. But this is. I mean, let's just take a look at this, because this, you say, is a great quilt to use your big prints.
Big prints and dark. Yeah. There's a lot of things in life that are really handsome when they're darker, but you don't want to contrast it too much. I mean, they made me put it against that pink wall. I was nervous about that. I wanted it against a purple house, deep purple.
Of course you did.
So that it would glow out of the purple. But it didn't really work when we got it there. It didn't, it wasn't quite right. And the pink brought the colors to life. So anyway.
I love it. Absolutely love it. I can see why you would think purple. I can see that, but no. And then with that little hint of yellow in the background, Debbie has done her work again. The ocean ripples. Okay, so I was having a conversation with a designer the other day, and I designed something, and I was like, but other people have done things that are similar. And she said, but everything's been done. Everything's been done. So you're never going to invent something new. You just have your own take on it.
Yeah.
And what struck me was that this is a concept. So with the ripples that you employ and have done since like 1980 something, when you had your triangular coat that you knitted, and it was on the front cover of Woman and Home magazine.
Yeah.
And it was a concept of taking triangles, taking the colour and making it look far more complicated from the use of the colour.
Yeah.
This is a beginner's quilt, effectively. If you can do a half square triangle, you're there.
Yes, absolutely.
Quilt made, but it looks phenomenal.
And each little piece is simple.
Yeah.
And then you put it all together and you have this complex thing that looks incredibly complicated, but it's actually block by block. It's a very simple concept and anyone can do it. And that's what I love. And that influence comes from kind of African and ethnic cultures of you know, people that put together these wonderful geometric baskets and woven cloth and things that they put on their bodies. And they love these sharp geometrics, and I love them. They've made me love them.
And it's that's inspired you to do it. But it was just, it was lovely to see something, and I see this in your work. You are influenced. This is my take on it. So you tell me if I'm completely off the mark here. But there'll be something that captures your imagination, and you don't forget it. It's stored in that catalogue brain of yours to come out and go, actually, I need that resource here. Actually, triangles with the colour works exquisitely. Worked in knitwear, works in quilts. And how easy is the transfer from knitwear into quilting in terms of design?
Not difficult. I mean, it's just that one of the things about this quilt is that it could be very mushy. You know, there's a lot of detail in each fabric. And so I work very hard to get enough contrast that we still have the structure, the architecture of the quilt.
True.
Because I've noticed that a lot of people will put a lot of patterns together and it just looks like a great big bowl of chop suey or vomit or something. You know, it's just, you know, it's all,
whichever.
It's all kind of mushes together, and it's not, we don't have that clarity. And I think part of the charm of these fabulous women in the past who sat down and made patchwork quilts out of their old dresses and the fabrics they had around the houses, or they would go out and spend their hard-earned money on a little bit of silk or something and a ribbon and
just
things.
That touch.
All those, they were finding structures that were simple enough to sew but would show off that print. And that's why I go back and back and back to the history and looking at the old quilts and these anonymous, fabulous artists of the past who put together paisleys with plaids, with polka dots, with flowers, and in a way that just constantly turns me on. I never get tired of going through the old books.
I wrote down in my prep for this that aren't we a lucky generation because we can choose to create. We don't have to create out of necessity. We can choose to create. We can buy our clothes. We don't have to make them. If we choose to make them, or if we can have bedding. We don't have to have quilts. So in on the one hand, we're incredibly lucky because it's our choice if we choose to do that. On the other hand, actually, what I love most is a challenge of using things other people have thrown away, fabrics that people have discarded or other people's scraps. I remember once when Brandon gave me a scrap bag of yours, and I was just like, "This is amazing!" And I had little bits of this, and even my son sat on the floor piecing together. You know, he made himself. I mean, he didn't sew it, but he put colours together how he wanted them, and it was just beautiful. And I love almost not having to find a way to make what I have beautiful with little snippets. And I guess that's what originally patchwork quilters had to do. They had what they had that had worn out, and they used that. But like you say, with that little bit of silk that they could afford. I'd not thought of it like that. Oh, maybe we need to go back to that then. Oh, I don't know.
Well, there is something wonderful about limitation, I must say. I love it. You know, when I first started doing my patchworks, we didn't have the concept of our classics. And to me, the best thing that's happened to us is having these classics. So have
to explain to everyone what the classics are.
Well, the classics are a range of fabrics that have been selling well enough, or they're basic enough that we can have a whole range of them year after year after year. They're there for you to play with to enhance whatever the new fabrics are coming in, because the new fabrics come in their last 6 months and they're gone.
No. But I was looking at the new fabrics that are coming out in August. Watch this space. And Tiddlywinks is in there. I was really pleased to see Tiddlywinks.
I go back and do colorways. I look at something, I think, you know, that was a nice little design. I'm going to do a new colorway on that.
No, I applaud that. I absolutely applaud that. And so my other question was, this one, and I will try to find bigger picture of it, which is your floating circles.
Yeah.
Because I fully intend to make this one.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, that was just taking every stripe in the collection that I
Yeah.
have done. And
Your promenade stripe. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And isn't it beautiful against that wonderful kind of, sugared almond green minty wall? And just there was a clothesline there, and I just went up and I used their clothes peg.
Did you?
Yes, and just pinned it up. Took the shot. We were gone before we had to apologize to anybody. But you know what? They're so nice. A couple of times people would come out and say, "What are you doing?" "Oh, that's fascinating. That's beautiful." "Oh," and then we'd say, "Well, we could really use a garden chair." I'd be, "Oh, yes," and we'd run and get us a garden chair or a ladder or whatever we needed. They were so nice, those people.
So my question, coming
back to the subject.
Well, no, I mean it's part of it is when I spoke earlier about the triangles that have been used in the knitwear, Rory Mitchell's circular knitted top.
Right.
That's what that reminded me of.
Yes, because when I first started knitting, I was putting lots of streaks and everything, streaks of different layers of colors. Yes, I'm very like that. Yeah. I had a great friend in Australia, and she said, "Why don't you do stripes? You do all these fabulous flowers and things. Why don't you do stripes?" And I thought, "Oh, well, I love stripes. I'm going to do them." And I'm just suddenly looking and realizing that the border on this quilt behind us is the same stripe.
Is it the promenade stripe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just grab these stripes, because here they are, and we can just look at them. So that's the one that's on the quilt.
Yeah.
And then there's a softer version.
Yes.
Isn't that lovely?
Yes.
That's very you with your lovely soft hair. So, and then we go into deeper colors.
That's like peacocks.
Yes, I would be happy with that.
It's beautiful.
Color combination.
Yeah.
And then I love grays mixed in with things.
Is this the British weather?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so. And stone walls and the gardens, and I just love the way the neutral colors set off these very subtle colors. So that's a very subtle kind of dirty lavender, but it starts to sparkle because there's nothing that is fighting it or overshadowing it.
No, it's beautiful.
And then, of course, we have that kind of jewel-like richness.
And yet, if you glance, you'd think it was...
Look at that with your...
yeah.
You could have yourself a great poncho of that.
I think so. They're gorgeous. It's just, they're beautiful. But they're not, and what I love about your stripes is that they're not straight. That's and that when I was first starting out,
I paint them.
Do you?
Yes, and I paint them as carefully as I can. But the hand is,
if it happens,
yeah, stuff happens, and so that becomes enjoyable
because it's gouache, isn't it, that you work in?
Yeah,
which has this depth to it that I didn't realize. I think I always assumed that gouache was what you were kind of given at school.
Well, I had a very good lesson when I first started designing fabrics. I went to a big studio in New York, and the art editor there was saying, "Now, someone just brought me this artwork. Which color is she meaning?" Because she had a little thing of green, and it went from pale blue to deep green. And she said, "That's the kind of information I can't deal with." So I thought, so we don't do watercolor washes that go from one color to another. We have to be careful to be explicit about it. You can do watercolor washes, but you have to then say, "I want it to go from this shade of pink to this shade of gold," and then they can fit in the colors. But with the wash, I was able to make explicitly what was wanted, and then say at the bottom, "It's this shade of green."
Yeah. Is this before or after dried beans on cardboard?
Trust you to remember that.
Just asking. Asking.
Yeah, my first fabrics. I love the color of cardboard, so that was a beautiful background color. So I painted.
But you can't take that.
This entire design, very complicated design of little mosaic of beans, and took it to Designers Guild and said, "Here's my artwork," and they said, "Please put this on paper. We can't cope with cardboard boxes." So I mean,
I
it
think
was
they just weren't
ridiculous.
trying hard enough.
I know.
I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. You have a backing fabric
Yeah.
with quite similar.
Oh yes, I do. I do.
And I
Yeah.
suddenly, when I
Yeah.
saw that,
Yeah.
uh,
Fruit
this,
mandala.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I saw the cardboard, the photo of the cardboard, the dried
That's
beans
right.
on cardboard, and I was
Yeah.
like, I've seen this somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then
I'll grab that fabric.
have you got it?
So people know what
Oh,
we're
yeah.
talking about. There's the blue
That's it.
colorway.
So imagine these as dried
Yeah.
beans. I'm pretty sure I made my mum a necklace out of like dried pasta and beans.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sure.
Like we all have to.
Yeah.
But this is gorgeous, and this is a back of a quilt. What a treat!
Well, when we travel in the world, one of the things that I love is to go straight to a vegetable market or fruit market. And then you see them laying out in Guatemala, they will lay out patterns of fruit. And
Oh,
I
wow.
just love it. And they make things jolly, and so that life becomes a little bit more aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, why not?
And so, I come home with those ideas and use them.
And
Yeah.
voila.
Yeah.
Not on cardboard.
See, and I love the way that
It just all sits.
that works
doesn't it?
in with all
Yeah.
of this craziness.
Now this is hot steps,
Yes.
and there's also cool steps.
Yeah.
So this is an ongoing debate between my best friend and I. She loves reds and those really warm colors. Me,
Right.
I'm the blues and the greens
Yeah.
and those kind of colors. So it's perfect because same design, completely different
Yeah.
feel. I want to
Yeah.
say is it this one?
Yeah, it is that one.
Is it that one?
Yeah.
Have I got the right one?
Sure.
Whoop, sorry.
Shall we just talk about?
It's got my trouser fabric on the back, Kaffe.
Yes, that's true. But this is, you can see that it's the same idea of the squares.
Yeah.
Going diagonally, and but this time very, very cool, very opal colors.
It is, and yet you've got. I'm going to get the right name. Ombre leaves.
Yes.
I've kind of ruined it for Kaffe. I call it duck feet. Sorry, but it's that's ruined it for you, hasn't it? Now, next to and I can't remember Brandon's one, but it always reminds me of like pop-up superheroes where the kaboom, bam, wham.
It is called Bang or something.
Oh yeah,
like that.
something like that, isn't it?
I forget now, but it has that kind of a explosive name.
And it's in there.
Yeah.
And yet, if you just looked at that fabric by itself, a half meter of that, you'd go, what do I use this for?
Well, it's got life.
Yeah.
It's full of life. That's what I love. And I think his plaids, Brandon's fabrics are wonderful because they're next to my painterly and Philip's very painterly fabrics comes his kind of primitive geometry. The zigzag and the mad plaid are just wonderful, and this wonderful jumble, which I use all the time.
The zigzag for me is kind of Brandon in a fabric.
Yeah.
It's it's jolly and it's bright and it's fun,
but it has an order.
And then it throws in a stop.
Yes.
And it throws in something completely left field, and you're like, wow, that's really brilliant. And I love it. And that, if a fabric was a person, it is.
Yeah.
If you could also have the can fabric in there as well.
Oh,
I mean, because
I love that.
But then in the new range that's coming out I know I say it's new. I know that you've already moved on to the next one because you have to always work ahead. But for us, the new one, there's an octopus in there I've spied.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful thing.
Fabulous.
Have you got it? Can we see it?
Yeah. Let's grab that.
Because it's just.
And this is my favorite colorway too.
I haven't seen it in this colorway.
In black and white. Isn't
wow.
that wonderful?
Can you please have a shirt in this?
Oh, well, I think he should.
Oh, yeah, no, one of you.
Yeah,
one of you, please have a shirt in it.
But isn't that just marvelous?
I love the faces. They're almost like little aliens.
I saw a guy with a shirt the other day that was all snakes, and I thought it was this octopus design.
Did you run down the street after?
Yeah, I did. I went, oh my!
You're not allowed to do that anymore.
It was snakes, but yeah. Well, you have to be careful. But anyway, there you go. And I think the delicate colors that he mixes in with the whites are just marvelous.
Do you you don't do Brandon's colorways, do you? Like you do with Phillips, or do
No, I
you?
sometimes I help him a little bit, but mostly he does his own. And what he'll do is he'll look at what I've done in my collection,
Of course, because he
the new
has that.
collection, and
Yeah,
then
he
he
has.
ties it in.
Yeah.
So he'll do an echo of what we're doing.
Ah, I
And
love
lately
that.
I've been getting into a lot of these wonderful, strong, like this shirt, kind of a strong, contrasting feel. So
I have to tell you, we had a beautiful moment before we before we came to her, and we were just getting everything ready, and you turned around to me and said, "So I think I might wear a blue shirt, and do you think that would work?" I was like, "Sorry, you're asking me what would work?
yeah,
No, 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 no." I think you're all right on that one.
yeah.
I think we'll trust your judgment on on that. But it made me chuckle.
Mm.
I looked at Bex, our camera. I was like, did that just? She's like, yeah, that just happened. I gasped when I saw this.
Oh, I love this quilt.
Sublime. Oh my
Mm,
goodness.
mm,
Just
yeah.
there's something for everybody in this
Well,
book,
see,
for all levels.
there's my playing with black and white. So there's a lot of black and white prints in here, but there's also the high color, and then this wonderful background that usually people would do a very quiet little background of a little flower print or
Yeah,
a plain
not
fabric
you.
for these stars. But I thought, let's go wild. And so this Branton had just done this fabric called Bali brocade, and it's just gorgeous. And so it has this big profile, and I used that as the background. And that's one of those situations where the woman came running out and helped us with a garden chair and helped us pin the piece up and everything.
So you don't ask for permission before you rock up to people's walls and
No,
start flinging quilts at them.
I figure, let's just do it, and then we'll apologize later if it upsets somebody. But mostly, people are very nice, and whenever we do ask, for permission to do something, it's very rare that's ever turned down. In Ireland, an old man screamed at us that we had to get away from his house
Really?
when we were trying to just show a quilt on a gate in front of the house. So, it does happen.
That wasn't the postcard house, was it?
No,
Oh, that's
no,
okay
no,
then.
no, 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 no. They were wonderful.
So
Yeah.
we've told this story before in one of our interviews, but it was a
Yeah.
beautiful thing where you
Yeah.
had a postcard of a
Yeah.
house that had inspired a quilt.
That's right. This man had painted this primitive house, all with wonderful, wonderful colors. And then we found this old, washed out gray house. And we just thought it was charming because it had little details. And so we wanted to photograph a quilt in front of it. And they said, do you want to see the way this house used to look? And they brought out the postcard. And so we had found the house, but it was unrecognizable.
And
because
but you'd when you'd gone there,
Yeah.
you'd sort of thought, oh, it'd be nice to find the house, but
we never will.
not sure. But
Yeah.
this happens to you.
Yes, it does.
This does happen to you. And when you painted a picture for a front cover of a cookery book,
Yeah.
and you were convinced that one of the editors or someone would want to buy that original, and they didn't. So you painted over it.
Yeah.
And then a couple came along, and they bought a painting.
Yeah.
And you asked them, how did you hear about me?
Yeah.
Well, there was this beautiful picture on the front of a cookbook.
Yeah.
Did you ever tell them that was the picture
No,
that they had bought?
What I was saying in my head was, well, you've got it on your wall, but it looks different. It's a still life now. but it was just weird. That would have brought them to me, and
And that was the one they took home.
Yeah, they actually had the painting. But
did they ever know?
No. I thought there's no point in telling them. They'll just be upset.
Or they might be thrilled. Or they might chip away with the varnish remover to try and get underneath it.
You never know. But I just thought, in those days, the idea of selling a painting was so huge, because that meant a month of living from it, of food.
Yay! Yeah.
So I didn't want to queer the pitch. Let's
No,
put it that
okay,
way.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Just be happy with what they've got,
Yes.
and actually they're sitting on the gem they absolutely
Yeah.
adored in the first place. Brilliant. Yeah, just you need this book in your life, whether you quilt or not. Quite frankly, it is. I mean, look at the colours here.
Yeah. Wasn't that wonderful to have this wonderful, big, colorful expanse of houses and just have a bridge right in the middle so we could just hang our quilt and we got the reflections in the water and the whole
I've
thing.
never seen the water that still
Yeah.
in Venice. I mean,
Yeah.
that in itself is a is a crazy achievement.
Yeah, I know.
So did you try?
That's early in the morning and late at night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Because
that's
it was very bright during the day. So
And does anybody ever get upset if you go, well, it's actually because your wall's a bit bashed that I really like it?
sometimes.
Do they?
Yeah, like there was a wonderful old house that we photographed in America and put a quilt on, and the man said,
Oh, didn't he
"Oh,
want
but
to
I
repaint
need to
it?
paint the house. It's in such terrible state." And we said, "That's why we love it."
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one. And this one with the blue wall.
Yeah.
And so with the work that I do, we often have in our head just a little saying that Brandon always comes out with, which is, it's just that little bit of chili sauce.
Yeah.
And
Spice.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when I saw this and you said, but did you see the blue wall behind? I said, did
Yeah.
Brandon choose it? Because for
Yeah.
me, that's
Yeah.
that's that bit of chili sauce.
Yeah, true. Well, he definitely saw what I saw.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that our art editor put this picture next to it with blue laundry blowing
Beautiful.
against rust-colored walls. I mean, which is so much like an abstract of that.
Even their laundry is attractive.
I know.
I mean,
I know.
come on.
Wonderful.
Come on. Okay. Here's the big picture of this. Now, you said to me earlier, I'm loving the strong black and white and that monotone. Are we seeing a second coming of the white phase?
Not really. It's a different thing because it's the black and white. It's a real contrast. The thing about my white paintings, when I first started painting, I did all these white still lifes, and it was a very delicate thing of cream against white, or white against pale gray, or against beige. It was tones of lightness that were subtle and different. So I was trying to fill my canvas with light. And this is a thing of putting the light with its exact opposite. So there's the actual quilt. And you can see that we've got Brandon's jumbo and this gray polka dot, which I think just works as beautifully, giving us the dimension without being too harsh.
Is it because of the softness of the gray that just
I think that's
softens?
That's what makes it really, really work, and what made it work against that blue house.
But
then these little shots of turquoise and duck egg blue kind of coming out too.
And not being afraid to actually put navy with black.
Yeah.
Because that sometimes I don't why.
Well, to me, it's all about contrast.
Yeah.
So it's just a contrast story. So, I could have thrown in purple and black, purple and white, and things with it too. It just.
But it softens. It's like when you say that you're with the creams and the beiges and it's another form of just dark color. Whereas sometimes people go, oh no, you can't put navy and black together.
I know.
Oh, why not? Where's that written?
See, I didn't grow up learning all those rules.
Thank goodness.
I want to also just show something while we're here. in these times, with a polka dot background, but we can do the black and white.
Of course.
Right through.
Of course. Brandon has one with his can-can dancers.
Yes, that's right.
Just I adore.
Yeah.
I just thought that was hilarious. But it is, and why not? If you have to wear a mask, have a fun one.
Yes.
Why not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now on the back of here.
On the back of here is another contrast story.
Yeah.
This is my fans, paper fans.
So you went to Japan as part of one of your glorious books, wasn't it?
No,
No.
I would love to do a book in Japan. I never have, but I've gone to
Or was it a
Japan
tour?
many times. Yeah, yeah. Well, they gave an exhibition
That's it. Yes.
of my knitting, and then
Yes.
another exhibition. And so I that has been I've just lapped up the inspiration there because they love pattern and they love color,
Yes.
and they are constantly reinventing patterns. So they'll do a whole book on fans and different variations of how to play with fans as a theme. And so, of course, I buy these little bits of fabric and I come home and these wonderful books, and I have all this inspiration to play for.
Oh, that's
And
phenomenal.
fans, of course, is a huge part of their
So
culture.
this was one of the things, wasn't it? You had your V&A
Yeah,
exhibition, and you are one of the only solo artists to have ever had
yeah.
an exhibition at the V&A.
To have a one-man show. Yeah.
And it was just ridiculously successful,
Mm.
and that kind of came about with the help of Princess Michael
That's right.
of
Yeah.
Kent,
Yeah.
who came to see you and meet you and have a look at your knitwear,
Yeah.
and says, yeah, how can I help? What can I do to
Yeah.
help? Well, actually, I'd like an exhibition at the V&A, please. Well, yeah, I can make that happen.
Yeah.
But actually, yes, she helped you make it happen. But once you got the go ahead from there,
Mm.
you had the funding in 15 minutes and a few phone calls.
That's right.
And some.
That's right. Yeah.
So
that was amazing.
that's not her making that happen.
No.
That's
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal. And then it was just this massive hit that then traveled the world.
Mm.
And you also did tours from off the back of your book. So obviously this is your 22nd quilting book.
Yeah.
But whenever I mention your name, so many people know you for your knitwear.
Mm-hmm.
And it, for me, it kind of ties in because it was after. Okay, let's rewind the story for everyone at home here. You have a great friend, Steve Lovey.
Yeah.
And he was a photographer and a wonderful artist in his own right.
Yeah.
But as often happens to many an artist, at some point he skins.
Yeah.
Around 1985, his skins. And his dad's restaurants have gone under, and
Yeah.
it's not a great time. You're on the phone to him. Well, come back to London. Come back to London. So he arrives, probably comes back to here, I would imagine. Were you here at that point?
No, I was in. At first, I was in Notting Hill Gate. No, maybe I was. Yeah,
Because this would have been in the 80s.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Because he came. It was the second time he came back that we started working together.
So he then says,
"Yeah,
you know, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah,
let's write a book."
And there's a book in this. He just looked at my knitting and he said, because to me, knitting was never about just knitting a beige jumper.
Nothing's been beige.
I tried to knit a beige jumper once, and I thought I was going to go insane. So because I never knew where I'd been. You just, oh God, it was ridiculous. Anyway, so I was always playing with pattern, big patterns and colors, and trying to get all of that, every cultural pattern that I had seen in museums around the world and my travels and everything else. Or, I'd take a trip across England and I would go to a place like Lavenham, and I would see the half timber buildings with colors, and I would say,
Lavenham's beautiful.
Yeah. I said, there's an idea for knitting. And so forth. So that's what I was dealing with. And when he saw all of this stuff that I'd created, he said, there's a book in this.
Yeah.
We've got to do it.
Now, this is 1985.
Yeah.
And you managed to secure, and this is a vast sum for 1985, £25,000.
That's right.
To go off.
Yeah. And they thought they could do it for like 3,000.
Yeah.
You do some black and white photographs in the middle of a book of writing.
Nah.
Exactly.
And for me, when I was reading about the exploits you had to go to get this glorious knitting book, your first major book, you know, you talk about your family being pioneers as they went to this wild California and created this amazing restaurant and everything on the coastline of California. But for me, you are a pioneer of the arts. This 6'3" Californian man who sits and knits and goes, I'm going to do a knitting book, but not as you know it.
Yeah.
And that was the argument with the publishers.
Yes.
Was that no, but I know you've got knitting books, but not how I do knitting books.
That's
and not
right.
how Steve photographs knitting books.
Yeah.
And I would like to thank you on behalf of everyone that has ever opened up your book and seen the dancers in tights.
Yes.
Thanks for that. We enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you've not, take a look.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're remembering it, right?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
But Steve tied it in beautifully with the seasons.
Yeah.
And having knitwear for the seasons.
And he had this knowledge of gardens and flowers and seasons. And he would say to me, I want you to knit a sweater that is basically yellow with accents of pinks and duck egg blue and so forth. Well, my mind just went, yellow. I was thinking Chinese opera, beautiful silk robes in, beautiful sunny yellows and lemon yellows and sulfur yellows and all these shades together. And then drop in these wonderful turquoise and high pink and so forth that just went with the yellow. So, that was all he needed to say to me. And then he said, because by the time you get that sweater finished, I figure it'll take you maybe a month to knit that sweater. The flowers, the flowering acacia or whatever is going to be out in Kew Gardens, and we're going to go there. We're going to have a bank of yellow blossom, and we're going to photograph.
And this happens. And you also go over to Holland to photograph the beautiful tulip fields.
That's right.
What happened there, Kaffe?
Yeah. Well, we rocked up at this fabulous park called the Keukenhof Gardens, and we said, can we come and photograph? And they had miles of the most fabulous tulips you've ever seen in your life, and wonderful groupings, and everything was just gorgeous. And we said, can we come and photograph? We'll be here Monday. Fine, that's fine. Yeah, you can shoot wherever you like. We arrive on Monday
with models in tow, like the whole shebang.
We've hired.
Yeah.
And they had cut every tulip down in the entire thing overnight. They just
there's just a stubble fields basically
and little green shoots. And we said, what happened to the flowers? And they said, oh, we cut them down every year. And we said, oh, I see. That's why we were allowed to photograph wherever we wanted. So anyway, we said, what did you do with the flowers? And they said, we put them on dumpsters at the back of the house, at the place. So we went to the dumpsters, and here was, dumpsters full of cut tulips, and we just laid the models down on top of the tulips and took our picture, because what were we going to do?
You got your tulips. You got your tulips. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I could just imagine the Whew. Yeah, that's unlucky, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so you got to travel with your book tour. Next came obviously the needlepoint, glorious needlepoint.
Yeah.
And the infamous Woman's Hour.
Yes.
Interview.
Yes, well, that was just lovely, because they said, we want to celebrate your book on needlepoint, and could you come in and do an interview with Jenny Murray on Woman's Hour? I said, fine, I'd love to.
Because anybody that doesn't know, you have a big love of Radio 4.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I listened to all the time, and my hair would stand on end at half the things that they talked about on Woman's Hour. But anyway,
they got me very drunk when I went on Women's Hour. It's a whole other story.
I was so excited, and I thought I'll just take along a little project so they can see something in the flesh, even though they're talking about something on the radio. And so I took this little tea cozy I'd made with a rooster on it.
Yeah.
I set it on the chair next to me, and heard Jenny Murray saying, and today we have with us Kay Fassett and his lovely cock. And I'm like, my rooster tea cozy in needlepoint. I'm trying to explain. I'm not sitting here Anyway.
Did she realize what she'd said?
Well, she realized it enough to say, when I met her at a party, she said, I've dined out on that story ever since. And I said, you have? I've told audiences all over the world. Anyway, it was
Brilliant.
great.
Brilliant.
It made me love England.
And Jenny Murray. She's brilliant. So on your book tours,
Yeah.
two things I just want to touch on very quickly, because it's thanks to one of these book tours, Glorious Knitting Book Tour, that you meet Liza.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that in just one moment. But you know how we said earlier that things just happen with you? So you're doing the book tour. And in some places, it's incredibly well received. And in other places, you go into the bookstore going, hey, you know, would you like me to sign? Oh, no, we only bought 2 because, you know, it's a knitting book.
Yeah.
And then in St. Louis, you find Maddie's.
Yeah.
And
God, you have amazing memory for all this. Yeah.
And who do you find? First of all, what is Maddie's?
Well, Maddie's was a far out knitting shop, which was selling wool. But in the window was one of my kits, and next to it was one of not the book, because I think maybe she had the book, one copy or something. But anyway, I walked into the store and I said, who put that kit in the window? And the woman behind the counter said, oh, Maddie, it's him. And so she came running out from the back, this mad woman who it turned out had been an alcoholic, and she had gone to my parents' restaurant in Big Sur. And when she saw the view there, she decided to give up drugs and alcohol and became straight. And it was because of the beauty of the view. Well, I didn't know this.
But that's just
found this out
it?
later. But she was just an amazing, extraordinary, strong woman. And she tapped in. She had every article that had ever come out about me. And in those days, it was very little.
Yeah.
But everything that came out about me, she had followed. She was like a stalker, practically.
Wow. Super fan.
She had a super fan. She had gathered everything about me. And that was like in the middle of America, and nobody else knew who the hell I was.
Well, that's just it, isn't it? Because you've just been to the bookshop and they've gone, oh, we only got 2.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
then
it's a knitting book. What do you expect? We're not going to sell many.
And then there's this lady who has had this epiphany by your parents' restaurant.
Yeah.
Changed her world, got clean.
Yeah.
I don't know if she ditched the boyfriend that she was, I mean, you know,
yeah,
but
I think probably.
Yeah. And had this life affirming moment.
Yeah.
And then becomes, I don't know if the two go hand in hand. If she knew about you and that was why she was at Big Sur, or I don't know.
No. She was shocked when she found out that that big moment in her life was also to do with me. She didn't know.
You see?
It was just amazing.
And is it strange that, I mean, you're sat here in London and people are having these reactions to your work all over the world. It blows my mind. And it's not even my fabric. So I don't know how that feels for you.
Well, it's very rewarding when somebody can actually see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of my life, I'm producing things and I'm making things and I'm excited. And I'm like orgiastic about some fabulous thing I've just made. And someone goes, oh, yeah, color. Oh, you're into color. These kind of lukewarm reactions, and I think, okay, they're not seeing it. And then suddenly,
breathe.
Someone comes by who sees what I'm doing and understands it, and gets it and gets excited, and then it's fabulous. And it's fabulous when I have a whole audience. When I go and give a talk somewhere, and the whole audience is on my wavelength. It's wonderful.
I mean, the buzz must be tremendous.
Yeah.
So this takes me to my next point is I had always, when I've interviewed you in the past and when I've read books about you and I've done my research, what always came across to me was actually that you weren't necessarily someone that needed those reactions of others, that whatever you did wholeheartedly because you believed and you loved what you were doing. But then I came across something where, and it was to do with glorious knitwear. When Steve Lovey says to you in the madness that, because it was the first book, so things weren't always running smoothly. Kaffe, you haven't given me my pat on the back recently.
Yeah. That was a great moment.
Did you know that he needed a pat on the back?
No.
Did you know that you gave him pats on the back?
To me, he was Einstein. He was the great genius. I mean, this amazing Jewish mind who was so full of creativity, so acute, and with the eye that was like an eagle. I mean, he would walk into a room and he would spot something. I mean, it was very interesting because we would often spot the same things, but he just had this. He was the one person in the world that I would give my collection of knitting to and say, go off and photograph it somewhere. And I knew he would do the best possible job.
Yeah.
And he would do the kind of shot that I wanted. Whereas anybody else, I was nervous as hell if they were trying to do something with my work. But so he was just this man. And then when he turned around and said to me, I'm insecure. I need to be encouraged. I thought, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
What?
because, half the time I was telling him, I love you. I think you're just amazing. You're so brilliant. But when I would stop doing that, he needed it to go on. And I thought, isn't that interesting? We all need it.
So do you need it too?
Oh,
and where do you get it from?
From people like Brandon. When I meet a soul that is completely on my wavelength, like Brandon,
he is your pat on the back.
Yeah, that's why we hooked up and became this incredible partnership that travels the world teaching together and so forth, because he understands it and he gets it and he sees the excitement and the subtlety of it.
No, he does. And actually, you've passed over a lot of the knitting teaching to Brandon, and that for me is the biggest compliment you could pay someone.
Yeah, because
that says so much more.
Because I was very nervous about who would ever be able to teach knitting the way I wanted it taught and get the essence and get that wonderful, getting people to be experimental and excited about using color and get over the fear of it. Because I realized that in most people, there's this incredible fear about using color.
Yeah, of getting it wrong. Like what is wrong?
And here was somebody who was a wonderful encourager. And he often says at the beginning of our workshops, we're not teachers, we're encouragers. We're just here to help you find a love of color and get over the fear of it.
And he is really wonderful like that. And I will ring Brandon when I get stuck with color and say, have you got a minute for a FaceTime? Yeah. And he's wonderful like that. Yeah. So we have a little saying, it's it's what would Brandon do?
And he also has an amazing feeling for who needs what. I mean, like he could be the shopper to end all shopping. He would know some little obscure store where you're going to find the perfect shoes or handbag or dress or whatever.
He's done it. He did it with fragrance with me.
Yeah. Well, that's it. He'll look at you and he'll know what you need. He has an amazing mind that way.
Yeah, he told me to wear more color, hence my trousers. Yeah. But he also said to me, because when he came to my studio, I have a weird I didn't realize it was a ritual until I did it. And I always put some perfume on before I go on air. And Brandon had arrived early, and I hadn't had a quick. Yeah. So then, of course, I waft into the studios where he's like, "Yeah, what is that?" Well, and then
he has amazing nose
in the business. Amazing nose. Yeah. So then he tells me about a fragrance. He's like, "You should try. You should." And I did, and I wore it today just to see. Yeah. And by the time I got to the top of the stairs,
that's right,
he'd noticed and he'd gone, "You smell amazing." And I was like, "Well, thank you, but that's down to you." Yeah. And it's those little things. It's that heightened perception of the senses, whether it be color, whether it be sense of smell, taste. Yeah. And of course, Brandon started out as a chef, so he already had that appreciation. Yeah. But it is interesting to know that Steve Lovey needed that from you, and that you, even with everything that you have achieved, still need it from someone else. Sure. And but what I see in you is that you provide it with your workshops, with your teaching. You provide it for everyone else. So you are so generous.
But the audience certain audiences are incredibly generous back. You know, when I step onto a stage, I can just tell, okay, here's a difficult audience. I'm going to have to woo them. But if I can woo them, and if I can get them to start relaxing and enjoying what I'm doing rather than being all uptight about not understanding it or whatever, then I feel fabulous at the end.
Yeah.
Because that generosity, you can just tell. And certain audiences have been just so wonderful. I mean, huge pats on the back.
Oh, yeah, I'll take that. Thank you very much.
From 500 people, you know, it's been wonderful.
But, you know, I think also, though, you know, when people arrive, there's an expectation, and sometimes it's like at the start of a yoga session. Sometimes you've still got the rest of your day going on, and
true.
and did the babysitter, have they got the kids down?
And am I going to be able
you
to
know,
do this
yeah.
right? It's that nervousness about living up to the expectation of the teacher, or am I going to understand this? You know, they come into the lecture. Oh my God, you know, is this going to be like brain science? You know, we're sitting here with this terrible black and white one. Can I bring in
do.
Let's bring in Fruits of the Forest.
Ah, yes.
And get some gorgeous, gorgeous color.
It is that turquoise.
Yeah.
That comes through, and this is Brandon's brocade.
That's Bali brocade in a dark, smoldering colorway.
Now, this is another thing. What struck me with the book, is that certain themes reoccur.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if I'm going to say this right. Marquetry, is something that you've had a fascination for, and in one of the other quilts, you use the brocade to kind of give that marquetry feel.
Yeah.
Now, that's wood inlay, isn't it?
Yes,
Work on,
yes, exactly.
And yet, in what 1981 or something at George Harrison's house, you did a needlepoint wall hanging.
Yeah. Using old instruments.
Yeah,
beautiful old violins and
that you'd seen at the V&A
and things. Yeah, and they
with
had,
that marquetry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he wanted
see this in a way. It's what the theme of marquetry is. You take a saturated color, all the colors of browns, golds, beautiful, you know, smoldering, woody tones.
Yeah.
You put that all together and you make a picture, and you make a sheet of pattern. And this is the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we've taken here, this started out being very, very contrasty and with lights and darks and things. And as I played with it, it got more and more toward the pink. The pink became thrilling. And I just loved the pinkiness and the way, but I still wanted the blacks in there so that it had this, you would see these big pinwheels and that they would have a wonderful profile, and the blue, just, you know, that electric blue jumping out. So that, but it became saturated with pink, and that's why I call it Fruits of the Forest, because I was thinking about, you know, summer pudding. I was going to call it summer pudding.
Oh yeah.
Which is, to me, wonderful, the saturated.
What I've enjoyed with this one is seeing onion rings in use, because I have this fabric at home.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to use it, and I didn't know what color to put with it, because if I put it with brown, it's a meh. And if I put it with pink, it was like, it doesn't feel like it's enough.
Yeah.
So I was really fascinated to see it, because I then put it with just a plain black, and I was like, yeah, but that's too much.
To me, what makes it work is it's probably the blue and the purple.
Yeah.
Are kicking it. You know, the purple of these oranges, for instance, which some people find that a difficult fabric. These big oranges, it's just a big polka dot.
Yeah, I love it.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that purple on the black is kind of helps the pink to glow, I think.
Yeah. No, it does. And I know it's called onion rings, but to me, it's mysterious trees as well. You know, the rings in trees, and it's all of those things. That's kind of what I see. I see a natural element in it that I really love. But I'd been stumped, so I was really thrilled to see it in this quilt, and I was like, "That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I need to do with it. I need to pull it through with those other colors."
I just spotted in my chaotic story here, we're doing a backing.
Oh wow! You see,
this will come out soon. a backing of the
Oh,
underneath.
fabulous.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. Oh, you truly are embracing the black and white, aren't you?
Yeah.
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 Do it. Why not?
Yeah.
But then,
Imagine if that was on the back of that, you know, of our black and white quilt, you know, it'd just be beautiful.
but I would then want some incredible coloured binding
Yeah. Well, exactly.
because it would be rude not to.
Like screaming lavender.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know
Or
lavender
duck
could
egg blue or
scream, but
something.
yes,
Yeah.
it
A little
needs to.
shriek.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? Why
Yeah.
not?
And so the backing here, we've got the ombre shaded flowers. Now this came from, I noticed it's this
Ombre duck feet.
beautiful painting. No, it was an antique garment in the V&A, and I just thought, what a fabulous idea! So I came home and did my version of it.
What would you do without the V&A cave?
My God, that's been my treasure trove
I
of
know.
inspiration. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Over the years, you
Yeah.
come back to it, which is why it felt so right that your one-man show should be there.
Yes.
You've got one of my favourites
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
book. Can we show?
And I love. Let's show this shot because it was so interesting being able to find this beautiful location with these soft yellows and pinks behind this quilt, and then the breeze blew the quilt, but she was able to catch it still. So I love that shot.
Debbie is phenomenal.
Yeah, she really is.
She really is. She's absolutely phenomenal.
And this is the quilt. So it's
You see, I love this. And when
it's
I
no
said,
shrinking violet.
when I said to you I love it, you
Yeah.
looked at me like, really?
Yeah.
But I really do
Yeah.
because it's called framed log cabin.
Yeah.
And for me, it gives a rest for the eye to allow each large print to
That's
have
it.
its moment.
That's it. Yeah. There's Burano's Bali brocade.
Yeah.
And the cactus flower and all of these fabrics and the geodes, all these things, you can really see them.
You get that space to do
Put
that.
a little frame around each little bit of the, so it's one huge log cabin.
So if you are ever worried about cutting into fabric because you won't get that impact, this is the quilt to make. It has to be.
Yeah, exactly. If you've got a fabulous paisley or big flower print, big scale print, and you don't want to reduce it down to a little nibbin, just cut nice big pieces.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely stunning, and yet all with those warm spring summer tones. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
So
it suits you. You know, it's like with your hair and coloring. You know, this wonderful sunlight.
Colours.
It's like the sun has come out in this room.
No, I absolutely adore it. Absolutely adore it. And this is the sort of thing I see this, and I wish I didn't live in a rented home that I can't paint every color under the sun, because I'm like, I would so have this on a wall painted in, I don't know, a blue or something or a turquoise that would just make it go wah. It'll happen one day.
Yeah.
And it'll be phenomenal.
And then you notice the big peonies.
Yeah,
on the
well,
back.
I mean, you know I love that backing fabric.
Yeah.
Because I made trousers out of it. That's why I said earlier, oh, you've got my trousers, which might have sounded strange to people that didn't know. Didn't know that.
Just tuning in. That kind of show.
Yeah. Oh, they do get on well. Yeah. But no, it is. It's a stunner. And your backing fabrics, of course, are 108 inches wide.
Yeah.
Which is just super duper. They're not easy to always come by, the 108 backing fabrics.
I know.
Which is strange to me, because
I know.
if you do a quilt, do you want to have to patch work the back as well? Which is effectively what you end up doing if you have to sew tiddly bits together again.
Yeah.
So I always love it when you bring out these sublime backings.
Yeah.
And it is true that you get applauses for the back as well as the front.
That's true. That's very true. Very true. Now, I want to show you some other fabrics. Let's go through some of these new ones.
So these are new to us. Of course, you are always working way ahead.
Yes, way ahead. So this is,
what you got?
I think is a wonderful one. Nice, great, big, kind of malachite. Look, the first coloring.
What is it? What are they?
Well, it is like, I think it is malachite.
Is it? I don't care what it is. I mean, it's stunning.
Yeah.
Have I got that? I've got the salvage where it
Yeah,
says.
yeah.
Hang on. Hang
Tell
on.
me what
Agate.
agate. Yeah, right. So there's blue, which is punchy, and then I did blue with
Wow.
brown.
Is this all painted again?
What I love is that Philip brings me this incredible artwork.
Yeah.
That's just kind of generic colors, and then I'm able to play with my
Oh,
own
now
color
this
schemes.
one.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the depth.
Yeah.
Is phenomenal.
Yeah. So you get the play of the rich blues with these wonderful tawny, orangey browns.
But you've put pink in there. I salute that.
There is a
Yeah.
shocking pink
Yeah.
that runs through these. Yeah.
Absolutely stunning.
Yeah,
Just stunning.
And then, of course, to do it in very, very delicate color of the.
I am going to make myself a maxi dress out of this.
Yeah.
It's got to happen.
Yeah.
It's
see,
just,
look at that. See, with the pale blue of
Yeah.
your Levi jacket, it's wonderful with that.
You see, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And it's just exquisite.
It
And
is.
how different in the 3 different colorways. This is why you need all the fabrics. Oh, hang on, there's another.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. So this is the green story.
Well,
which
that
is
looks
what
like
most
some
people would be.
under the ocean story.
Oh, isn't it? Doesn't it?
You want to applique some of Brandon's octopuses on there? Octopi.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
It is, and almost psychedelic in places. I mean, this is
Yeah.
the beauty of it. When you see it in a big hit like this, you go, oh, yeah, so geography and blah blah. But then you get little bits like this.
It cuts up wonderfully.
It's gonna be amazing.
I've had the most fun cutting fabric out of this. I mean, it just is a dream.
If you are an English paper piecer, this is like the best value fabric, isn't it? Because each bit is going to be so different, and this just looks otherworldly to me. I adore it.
It does. And then we get the red story, red and mossy greens.
We all have. I say we. I don't know that you do. I will rephrase it. I have certain colours that I never quite know what to do with. And for my friend Emma, it's blues, and for me, it's reds. I'm like I love them, and I can, but I don't know how to use them. What do you do when you don't know how to use a colour? Do you just stick with what you know?
Just keep putting them up on the wall and put something near it. If you have a magenta scarf, put that near your reds and see what it does to it, how it lifts it. And then maybe a strange green will make the red come alive. You just have to keep trying things and see it from a distance. That's my feeling.
I'm going to try it out. I'm going to be, you know, that I am going to be that crazy mother at the school gate that rocks up in just strange attire.
Quite right.
My poor children.
See, this is, this is where I really had fun with color with these. Is, putting lime green orange on top of dark magenta.
It's beautiful.
Maroon, really. Very simple, but to me, it's a big polka dot. And it's just so much fun. You can see how it looks, at the freshness of it. Oh,
it's Freddie's lunchbox. His lunch bag is made out of these, patchworked.
Yeah, and then of course,
and there's your your
orange and red, which is fabulous with that. But what I find, this
one. I love this
one. Very subtle, so they almost disappear into that background. So,
apart from this, just gives it that hit.
Yeah, it's alive, but it's got a subtlety, a kind of vibration.
It's just divine.
Yeah.
Now,
but I'll tell you what my favorite fabric at the moment is the melons. And when Philip brought this painting into me, it was so beautiful. See, that's gray. So look at that with your Levi jacket. See, I would put blue with this colorway. Yeah.
And yet I was going to put my trousers with it. Hang on.
Oh yes.
Flip out a leg.
Oh yes. We can do that too. Gorgeous. Because look. I mean, there it is. This is what Philip brings me.
So this is what he brought you. So you see Philip, for those that don't know, you see Philip Jacob, who is the third in the K Facet Collective. There's yourself, there's Brandon, and there's Philip Jacob. So whenever you see sort of botanical type prints.
Yeah. So this is his artwork that he brought
Beautiful.
me. And I loved it. I thought it's got texture and everything else, but I wanted to go with more mysterious coloring. So,
Of course you did.
that what I did was like, for instance, this purple
Gorgeous.
colorway, which I find cuts up beautifully. I've just made a quilt that's all browns,
Really?
browns, blacks, and
Oh,
purples.
that's so rich.
Yeah.
I think it is a massive compliment that Philip will hand over his work to you and say, colour it.
Yeah.
And he does say that you are not just a good colorist, he rates you as the best, and I will quote him, the best colorist in the world right now.
Well,
that's what he says about you.
Thank you, Philip, because see, I love his artwork, and I think his artwork is great, but it needs a rich coloring to be added
gorgeous, isn't
to
it?
these forms.
Did you, when you, because you've known Philip for many years, but you've not worked with him for many years.
No, I knew him for years, where I used to just watch him doing furnishing fabrics.
Oh, I thought you were going to say twirling.
Well,
Whirling.
doing that too. But I used to say to him, I want to see what you've done lately. And he would come and give me a little slideshow of all the patterns he had done. And I loved them. And so when they were looking for a new designer for our company, I said, I know exactly the man.
That's the one.
I want this wonderful, he can paint flowers and natural objects better than anyone I know. And in a fabric way.
Now, this is the interesting thing, because we were talking about your mind earlier, where you said you just hone in on certain beautiful things. Philip collects dinosaur bones.
Yes.
He's quite the paleontologist.
Yeah.
And he said that it's almost like he flicks a switch in his brain, and when he's out on the beaches, it's like they are the only thing that come out. And how strange. It's just occurred to me that you both have this ability with your brain to see what you want to see.
Yeah.
To see.
But his other thing is Tibetan thangkas. So he's got these religious Tibetan paintings all around, which is another aspect that's just amazing. No, he's an extraordinary
He's incredible.
human being.
Yeah. I mean, and so it's wonderful that you guys get to work together, even though you don't actually, you only see each other for like a couple of hours a year.
That's right.
Which blew my mind.
Yeah.
And it's Kaif's Christmas, isn't it?
That's right, Kaif's Christmas.
And he brings all of these.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't pick the ones he thinks you're going to pick.
Oh, I know that. He says,
and he'll give you 2 goes.
He said, or 3. He'll say, okay, I'll bring that back next year. We'll see. If you're in a different mood.
And why
really
is that? Why is it that you won't have picked it? Is it just that it doesn't go with the rest of the things, or is your mind just not in it?
There are certain moments when I want absolute chock-a-block design like this.
Yeah.
Detail. There's other times when I want big plain backgrounds and a rose here and a rose there, or a bouquet there and a bouquet there, because I want that blast of solid color behind it. And I'm in the mood for that. And so that's what I'll pick.
So do you already know what you're looking for when he comes? Or
not really. It's kind of an instinctive thing. I don't analyze it, but
can you be persuaded? Has he ever gone, but you've overlooked this one, Kaif? What about, I really like this one?
Well, sometimes, yeah. He does talk me into it a couple of times, but mostly I have a very strong feeling of and I want difference. I want a tight little design, and I want a big blousey design, and I want a stripy design from him.
Yeah.
So that his collection has variety.
Yeah.
I don't want everyone to be big flowers.
There's for me, with my company, there's no point in me employing people that can do what I do. There's just no point. And I guess it must be the same. There's no point in you having other artists that do similar to you. Like, Brandon has such a distinctive style, and Philip, and the 3 work so brilliantly together. It's just joyful.
Well, I'm glad you feel that, because I love our combination. I think
it's exquisite.
He brings this kind of incredible kind of botanic, exquisite detail.
Yeah.
And then I'm kind of more sloppy painterly, and then Brandon's this wonderful kind of naive, gorgeous approach with humor
Yes.
to his prints.
So you have every base covered.
Yeah.
Which is such a glorious thing, and because your fabrics get printed, there, because with some fabrics, and we were saying this earlier, that is that why people hoard fabric and don't cut into it because they're scared to.
Yeah.
Whereas actually it's very freeing knowing that if you have a favorite from the classics, you can reorder it.
Yeah.
You know, it's still going to be there, so you don't have to. You don't have to, you know, keep it and not use it.
That's true. And we add colorways.
Yeah.
As the seasons go on, we'll add colorways, which refreshes the whole thing and brings you even more complex, you know, favorites to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very quickly going back, because we touched on the knitwear. I feel like the knitwear has fed into everything that we see here today, and it was through the knitwear that you met Liza.
Yeah.
Lucy. Did she
Yeah.
use the prior bit on?
No, not
we'll
really.
We'll stick with Liza Lucy.
Yeah.
It's easier.
Yeah.
And she worked for Rowan, the American branch of it, and yeah, she took you on part of your tour.
Yes,
and kind
absolutely.
of looked after you. Only stocked your fabric because of you coming across your yarn because of you coming
and
across.
she was one of those people that came into my life who absolutely saw. I mean, she took one look at the book and bought 6 copies for all her friends and her mother and everybody who knits, and rushed home with it. And then that night she got a call from the company saying, "Would you be a rep for us?" And she said, "No, I've got too many companies that I'm repping. I'm not interested." And they said, "Oh, what a pity, because you know we've just put out Kay Fassett's new book." And she went, "Kay Fassett, I'm in." You know, and so you know she saw.
And was then annoyed because she could have had it wholesale.
Yeah,
the book
yeah.
that she just
I
bought.
could have had those books wholesale.
Copies of.
So that was her first thought. But no, but absolutely, she absolutely gets, and she's one of those people who connected it with an audience. And when I said, "Let's do a book together," she said, "Absolutely." She said, "You know," she said, "You always jump the gun." She said, "If I talk about some new thing that I'm into, you want to do a book on it right away." And I said, "Yes, I do, because I want to make a collection of these things and show people the way we see it."
Yeah, no, and perfect. And she was, in my head, I attribute her for getting you into quilt, so I thank her for that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fair thing to say.
Yeah. Well, I thank her every day. We're she and Brandon and I are the 3 musketeers. We're constantly in order.
And she's got a quilt in your book.
Yep.
Hasn't she?
Yeah.
Which is Sun and
Beautiful.
Is it Sand and Sea? Something like that?
Yeah, Sun and Sea. Yeah. We found a beautiful location for that. This lovely sunny
blues
little corner.
And the
very,
and
very
the sandy
lovely,
colours.
warm
there is. I mean, we haven't even touched on half my point. Here it is. Here it is.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
But see that location? The orange and the blue and these wonderful faded pink. Oh, love that.
It doesn't. It just gives and gives and gives this book. I was going to say it doesn't disappoint. There isn't a page where I go, oh, you let yourself down a bit on that.
I thought I've died and gone to heaven, because here I am on a set. It's like that whole village was like a set for our quilts.
So are you pleased you gave it a second chance?
Oh my God. Oh, thank you, Erin, for taking your beautiful pictures and, you know, making me realize that it was absolutely the place we had to be.
Yeah.
And,
no, absolutely.
And it was not made out of cardboard. It is as real as can be, and just wonderful to experience.
I have in my head, and I don't know how true it is, that the fishermen paint their cottages that bright colour so that in the mist they can see which one is their home.
That's what I've heard.
I have no idea if that's true, but I like the idea, so we'll stick with it.
I know, it's a lovely idea, but they also loved colour, and so it's a unique place in the world.
Do you think it's a keeping up with the Joneses? They've done it this colour song.
Oh, there's a bit of that. There's competition, which makes it all more exciting all the time.
Obviously, you're known for your pattern and your design. But one of the things that I love is your shot cottons.
Yeah.
And the colour. Oh.
Yeah.
that you get from just 2 colors woven.
Yeah, yeah.
It is incredible.
Well, the reason I got into that is I did, went to India and I got these beautiful stripes
Yes,
woven.
yes.
And I love those stripes so much. And so someone said, well, why don't you just get some solid cottons woven up in colors, so you can have a solid. And I thought, well, how do I do that? I don't know how to design a shot material, which means that the warp is one color and the weft is the other.
But you kind of had with your stripes.
Exactly. So what I did was, I would cut out the yellow stripe, and I would say, I want this color, and then I would cut out whatever else, because those always had like a red warp, or a blue warp.
Okay, right. So
and that's what taught me about color more than anything else.
Is this the same trip where you had to choose the colors by electric light, because it took you so long to get there?
Oh, it was a nightmare.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
And as anyone will tell you, you should never choose
when
color.
I lose my memory, darling, I'm going to call up Natasha and say, what was that story about my...
It was the
You're
balloon
so
trip.
right.
It was when Brandon came back to the village with the balloons.
That's right. We traveled for like half a day across India to get to this place. And of course, we arrived at night.
Yeah.
And I had to pick out colors.
Yeah.
By electric light. So I just picked colors. And that's when we made those fabrics. And it came out fine. I
came out fine.
Pretty good memory.
You won the Houston
True.
Quilt Fair with them.
That's true.
They came out fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
What happened was that some of the fabrics in that first collection of shots that I did were very shot and had a wonderful shimmer, and others didn't. So this time I have done a new collection. And so we get, I don't know if you can see.
Hang on. Yes, I can see.
If we move this around a bit,
it's purple and blue.
we get that
oh my goodness.
sort of, like a bloom on a grape. And then the red comes through, and then the blues kind of come through. So
it needs to be dressmaking. This needs to be shirts.
Gorgeous shirts.
It's just,
And the more you wash this fabric, the more beautiful it becomes, the softer and more lovely, because I've had shirts made of it. Yeah. And they're wonderful. So that's that. And then for another paler, very English sort of color, we get this beautiful, really opal color. And you can see the kind of reddish blue. Because when you change it.
I'm used to seeing shot silk.
Yeah.
But you don't get as much shot cotton.
Yeah.
Look at this.
How earthy and wonderful that is.
Oh my goodness.
Like a wonderful sort of mushroom or something. Beautiful. And see the rust and green. So you get this wonderful.
That's probably the earthiest color you can get, isn't it? I mean, it's just.
I love colors like this. Kind of strange off colors. And then this green, which is really green, but I can't remember
it's many a tone
I think
of green.
that was like a blue going across that. So we get a sort of interesting color.
You're right, yeah.
But that's beautiful when you get all greens together. And then I love colors like this. This is a gray color, but look, this is green and a kind of dark magenta passed over each other. And so you get this gorgeous. And look at the green. How the green just, it's like northern lights, isn't it, in the sky? That is exquisite. Oh.
And do you then have to name these?
Yeah.
What do you name this?
One of them I called Thunder. I don't think this was Thunder. So, they just have various names, which I've flown straight out of my head now.
What more?
But
they're just beautiful.
But they're wonderful. And there's other darker ones that are more difficult to show on camera. But I just thought I would show you a few of these.
So, do we use these through the quilts?
Yeah.
I mean, I've lined some gorgeous bags with your shot cottons, but always make sure that some is sticking out so that you see, and then and especially with a drawstring bag.
But you can do the same thing in your quilt. You can have Philip Jacobs' painterly flowers, or my fruits or flowers or vegetables or whatever, and then a nice color that just kind of really kicks it. It can really highlight.
So talking with Brandon earlier, he said you should do and it was the circles one. the floating circles. He said, you
Right.
should do that. I was like, highlighted in my book, Brandon, is I will, and I've got it written on one of my many post-it notes, I will make this quilt. But I'm wondering if instead of the spots, you substitute in.
Sure. And I've been getting in, a lot of geometric quilts, because I've been looking at the Amish quilts,
Okay.
the way they would just take a great square of blue and put maroon around it and put that on a black background or whatever. These wonderful, dark, smoldering things, but they're just great pools, fields of color.
Yeah.
And so that's what you can do with these shot cottons, just great areas of color.
They need to be worn as well, I think, to get
wonderful.
that movement. I've never felt so inspired to make stuff.
The stripes are fabulous. I mean, imagine shirts out of things like this.
Yes.
These very, very basic, kind of like a Regency stripe. But
they're smart. They're really smart. That's gorgeous.
Wonderful.
But then what color would you put with this one?
Oh, the autumn range, just going to all like marquetry colors, golds and ambers and dusty pinks and lavenders and things like that are wonderful with browns.
And that's going to work.
Dirty blues. I mean, look, see, that's beautiful with your your Levi jacket.
Good color to wear, wasn't it, today? Okay.
And so these stripes are fabulous, and I've done several quilts where I just have take a square of that and just slice it so that you have a triangle of stripes at the bottom of a solid of the shot cotton, and it makes a great quilt.
Beautiful.
That'll be coming out in our next book.
It's quite a masculine feel too with these, which is great because there are only so many florals my husband wants to have around the house.
No, exactly.
So it's wonderful that I can find fabrics that I can mix through because we both share our home. So it should be fabrics.
In America, David Butler did a very interesting range using a lot of kind of army colors and things like that in his ranges, khakis and browns and blacks and things, very Japanese kind of palette. And it was wonderful. And people would take that and combine it with something more floral or more.
Why not?
Whatever.
I love that mix of the two, but that color is just exquisite.
That's wonderful teal electric.
Do you have a favorite out of all your designs? Does it change?
Not really. I mean, I'm very partial to a design I did called Mille Fiori, which
that was one of the first.
There's the artworks, and that was very early, but that has just gone and gone. And that blue colorway on the top is massively popular.
It's the green. It's that green, that little hint of green that just pops. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I got to get a shirt made of that.
Yeah, you
it's
do.
Wonderful. In fact, we're going to do it as a backing fabric.
Are you?
I was just noticing. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
And feel that.
So these feel so silky.
Yeah. Well, this is
So what's the difference? I mean,
it's just the way they treat the cotton.
It's still 100% cotton, isn't it?
I think it is. I'm not 100% sure of that, but
double check that.
But it has a lovely.
It does
handle, doesn't it?
The thing is, if you're going under a quilt, if you're actually shock horror going to sleep under a quilt, because sometimes people
do.
Yeah.
I do when I'm taking a show on the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I'm in a hotel room and it's cold.
Yeah. Well,
or I'm too hot under their duvet, I'll take one of my thinner quilts.
But this is perfect. But it feels so sumptuous. That's the thing. It feels beautiful.
It does, doesn't it?
And that has to be part of the lure. Is the feel of the fabric, and all of your fabrics feel gorgeous, and they really do. With the wovens, is there any special way that we need to treat them? Do they move slightly more being woven, or?
I don't find any problem with them. I just,
because I know
give
people
them to
worry
my
about
quilters.
wovens.
My quilters have no problem with sewing them together.
No. I mean,
there are certain tricks you can do with woven fabrics if you're a bit nervous. You can starch them.
Yeah.
And then, be sure that you're cutting them on the right angles and things. I don't know. That's another. That's
Somebody
another
else's
side
department.
of
Yeah,
business that
yeah.
I don't see to.
But it's a whole other way of
Yeah.
bringing color into fabric, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is just
And
divine.
there's one last thing I'd love to talk about.
Yeah,
and that's,
do.
This is a fabric that I love. Looking at paintings of flowers and noticing that they're so round. And so I did a new colorway of a fabric that I've done called Enchanted, which is these lovely kind of round flowers. You see, it's like circles on circles on circles.
Yeah.
I love it. And so I've done these new colorways on it. So that one is kind of orangey pinky.
I love the clash of the orange
And then the
pink.
black background just
Yeah.
pushes it forward, doesn't
Then
it?
that green coming out as well.
Yeah, very electric green.
Where do you start with a new colorway?
I look at what I've done before,
Okay.
and I think I mustn't make something that's similar to what I've done before. Let's ring the changes. What's missing from this range?
Okay, right.
You know,
Yeah.
we need a yellow, or we need a gray version, or whatever.
And that's your
But
starting
reds
point.
are very popular, and I love reds. So where I started my life, with knitting, I was doing amazing red knitting. But so there's another red, but this time I've got a purple background, and I'm concentrating on deeper pinks and oranges. So it's similar to this.
Yeah, but you've got.
But there's something just a little bit softer and deeper about this colorway.
You're right. It's because that blue is so vital in that one. This one is softer.
Yeah.
It's
and the green
warmer.
the green here is dustier.
Yeah.
You see, whereas the green here is like electric.
Oh, the hours of fun you must have with these.
People can just find their favorite thing, what suits their project.
That's you've given all the color, so
yeah.
There's always
somebody said to me one day, well, what is your job? And I said, I'm making paint boxes for quilters. I'm making their vocabulary.
That's so true. That's so true. When you decided to go into knitting and you came away from painting, it was because there was a procrastination in the morning when you came to paint that wasn't there with the wool, with the yarn, with the knitting, that you would, you'd jump out of bed and get knitting before breakfast. There wasn't that pause. Do you have that with the fabric?
Oh no, it's the same motivation. If I'm working on a quilt, like this is my work wall behind us. It's flannel, and I can put my pieces and I can arrange a whole quilt.
Yeah.
You know what it's like.
Yeah.
So and we've often showed that how that works, and it's just brilliant. And so if I've got a quilt that's up, I'll come up and I'll look at it in the morning and I'll say, oh, there's something wrong in that corner. It's going dark in that corner, or light, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'll fix that, and then I photograph it, send it all off to a sewer that's going to sew it carefully, put in the time that I wouldn't, and so do it properly. And then I get on to the next project. And I'm motivated every step of the way. I'm never tired of it.
So do you do much of the sewing at all, or is there just not the time? Because it is so time consuming.
Yeah, every once in a while I'll sit down, I have an idea, and I'll just sew it. And I'm bad. I'm a bad sewer. I don't make all my corners add up. I'll show you something that I've made, and you'll get an idea. It's fun. It's a project where I just took all my very, very big polka dots and dotty things, and Branda's fabrics in a little orange print that I picked up somewhere. And
I was going to say that's not one of yours,
in
but it's
Texas
in there anyway.
or someplace I found that on my travels.
Yeah.
So all these circular kind of ideas, and you can see it doesn't add. It's not always straight.
Does it matter?
No, I don't think it does.
Doesn't matter.
And I sew it by hand. I sit and sew the whole thing by hand.
Oh my goodness.
And I enjoy it.
But that's it, isn't it? Why else would you do it if you didn't enjoy it?
And I can use it like that polka dot, and that came from Japan. And these are very old. They've been in my drawers for ages. I can get them out and use them.
So it becomes a memory quilt as well.
Exactly. Travels.
Yeah.
It's a travel diary.
Yeah. No, phenomenal.
I love this big one, the magenta on black. Wonderfully strong. And you see that goes with my orange prints and my paint
So
pot
the paint
prints.
pots are the big ones, the tiddlywinks are the little ones, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, that's the kind of fun I have when I don't have something else to do. I'll sit and sew by hand.
Because when you were doing the knitting, you had a team of knitters as well, because one man cannot do everything.
So what I would do is knit the back of the sweater. Now that brings me on to that. Let me just show you. These I've been making lately, which are big tapestries of knitting. I'll just show you so you can see.
Oh my goodness!
But you see how all these different panels of knitting, and these would be like something I would send off and say, make a garment based on this. Like with the stripes, you don't have to do the whole back because it repeats across the row. With this one, I would do the whole thing. So I've been making these tapestries of knit samples.
Oh my goodness. But there was a tapestry that you made that you asked people on Pebble Mill, 1 o'clock at Pebble Mill.
Yeah.
And you asked people to send in a 6-inch.
Any little picture that was 6 inches
of
needlepoint.
Yeah.
I said, you can manage that and anything you want to celebrate in your life. And it's going to be called Count My Blessings.
Yes. 2,000, over 2,000 you got in.
Yeah.
Was that your first patchwork?
No, that was just bringing needlepoint into a kind of patchwork idea. I don't think that had been done that much before, where you were placing lots of little images together.
I guess with the love of knitting, you can't really live somewhere hot like Big Sur, can you? Because it's I've got these jumpers,
Big Sur
can't
gets
wear
a lot
them.
of fog. Actually, there's days when
when you do want your
sweater.
jumper.
Yeah.
Mind you, I guess, it's just, oh, look at this, the colours.
Yeah. That was for Peruvian Connection, looking at old Peruvian weaving and then doing something in knitting that looked like that.
So did you struggle, when you first came to quilting, you struggled to find the colours and the scale of the print and everything else that you wanted. Did you struggle to find the colour of the yarn? Is that why you ended up with Rowan?
Yeah, because I encourage Rowan to do ranges of colors that were much more, and it's very hard because if you leave a company alone, they go back to gray. 50,000 shades of gray and beige, and that seems to be what people want more than anything else. And so the accountants say, well, we're selling a lot of beige, so can you put some more of that in your range? And so when I go, where's the pink? Where's the sky blue? Where's the lemon yellow? I want to create fabulous designs, and it's very hard to do it with limited colors.
So instead you end up at clearance sales of mills.
Yes.
And you take so many ends of yarns that the guy at the end just gives up trying to put it through the counter and just throws it at you and goes, just take it.
Yeah, just take it. Yeah. So you walk out with 500 pounds worth of knitting, and that gives you a start in life.
Didn't that last you about a year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I still have some of it hanging around still. And it's just amazing. Yeah.
But that's the thing, isn't it? It's that generosity of spirit that you find within a crafting world that has someone say, have it. And even if someone gives you their quilting scraps.
It's one of the things I've learned about life is filled with opportunities. But we have to stop. I always love that story of the guy that is in trouble, and people keep coming and saying, well, can I help you? And he says, no, God's going to help me. And then somebody else says, can I help you? No, God's going to come and help me. And then finally he dies and goes to hell or heaven or something. And he says, God, why didn't you help me? He said, well, I sent that man and I sent that person and you didn't recognize the opportunity. So that's what I feel, that the universe is sending us gifts and possibilities all the time. Don't you think?
So true. So true. I live by it.
And we just have to open ourselves and realize if we're doing the right thing, the universe is going to help us.
Absolutely.
And we just have to realize, oh, that's help coming at me.
Yeah.
I'm going to take advantage of that.
Just to be open.
Yeah.
Be open to it. I think you truly are. And I think you always have been, and that rings true. And that's why amazing things happen. It's talent with a seizing of opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Long may it continue.
It's been lovely having this chat.
Oh, okay. I look forward to them so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Mm.
Yeah. Just a lovely
It's
time.
nice to be able to just sum things out and realize where you are at that moment, and that's what you helped me to do.
Well, it's always a special day for me. So thank you so much.
Good.
And thank you for letting us be in your home. You know.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, well,
down in these strange times.
an
Right?
absolute privilege.
Yeah.
And yeah. I look forward to our next installment.
Very good. I look forward to it too.
Oh, thank you.
Mm.
Now, do we have to do a?
Yes. I love it.
It's like Strange
Yeah.
Masons.
Yeah.
It'll work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, darling.